Professor Wergely's here. We just finished the unzipped class. We're going to go over here. Let me close this library up. We're going to go over here to the controller. Now, the first thing here is when the stage is closed, we need to make sure we're terminating unzip. We don't want those zip files to continue to be unzipping when the user closes the window. Okay, so here I have an on-stage close request, which is an event handler, and we're overriding the handle method. And what do we want to do? If unzip has been created, so it's the same as we did before, if unzip does not equal to null, this is an object. So even though I've defined it up here, I never set it equal to anything. So at this time, unzip is null until I create an instance of this class, until I instantiate the object, until I load this class into memory. So if unzip is not equal to null, then I'm going to call the end method. So I'm using data encapsulation. You cannot access the stop directly because it's private. You have to call my end method, which makes things more secure. So I go back to the controller. If they close the window, call the end method, which sets that Boolean variable to true. You'll see it sets it to true. Once this is true, it's going to stop. It's going to break out of the for loop. It's going to do one last print, and then the run method will finish executing. Now, if you notice in the controller, I get a warning here. This is the long way. This event handler overriding the handle method is actually a functional interface. How do I know? I can always right-click and do a show Java doc. Whenever I have a functional interface, I can turn that into a Lambda expression. So here's the event handler. It's an interface. You'll see it's a functional interface. And I only have exactly one abstract method, because that's what a functional interface is. It has exactly one abstract method, and that's the handle method. So if I click on it, I can use a Lambda expression, and look how much cleaner that is. Okay, it's much cleaner. A lot of programmers usually prefer to implement a Lambda. When I use a Lambda, it's the same thing. So you can actually keep this lines of code here if you want. Paste it again for a second time, comment this one out, and use the Lambda here on the second one. So you know they're both the same thing. You can see the before and after. So here's the parameter to this method. The arrow basically takes care of the instantiation and the method name. So it removes all of this. And then you have the block of code. So you have the open block, close block. Here's your open block, close block. Now, when I close a stage, the thread will stop. We want that to happen. You'll see I have a handle select source directory, handle select destination directory. So when they open up the app, you need to pick both of these. It's a directory chooser. It's not a file chooser this time. So I'm selecting the entire directory, and now we're going to do handle unzip. So once they've selected those, we're going to go ahead and handle what happens next. Okay, one important thing to note is the unzip button will toggle between unzip and end. So once it's at the beginning, you click it, it's going to say unzip. Once it's finished or once it's running, it's going to say end. Okay, and we'll look at that here in the code. So when I do handle unzip, the first thing is it already unzipping something? If they're already unzipping the directory, we don't want to run it again. So if it's not equal to null, which means it's already been created, it's already running, stop the previous one and then return. Don't continue. So if we're already unzipping, then end it. And then the unzip button indicates end while unzipping. Okay, so you'll know whether it's running or not because I have the button changing. So when it's running, it'll say end. When it's not running, it'll say unzip. So you see I have a progress bar. I set it to 0. I have a status text area. That's going to display your do notifies. So whenever I want to notify something, I'll put in the text area. So if the source directory or the destination directory is equal to null, I need to stop. So you see I append the text and then I stop. If the destination is null, they may both be null. If one of them is null, it's going to return. So if this one's null, it sets this one and returns. Or if this one's null, it sets the text and returns. If they're both not null, we're going to continue. Okay, if they're both not null, we're going to continue. So you'll see here, I put the button to stop, or I can put it to end. It doesn't really matter as long as the user knows it's running. And now we want to run this. This is a thread. So remember, unzip, we need to instantiate this class and actually run it. Since it extends thread, I need to call the start method. So I'll first instantiate it. So I'll say unzip equals new unzip. Unzip will take the source directory and the destination directory. Okay. Next, I need to set what I want to update. Okay. I need to set what I want to update. If I just call start directly, every time I call do update, it's going to crash, because when I come over here, I never set the notification. I never called this method. I need to call this method first so do notify will work. Otherwise, there's nothing to notify. I can still run it, but you're not going to see any of the error messages. So for simplicity, we can call that. I can call unzip start, and technically it's going to run. Okay, it's going to run. But I want to show those notifications to the user. So before I run it, I'm going to call set on notification. And guess what? I'm going to use my functional interface. Okay, so I'm going to call new notification. This is my interface. This is my own functional interface. We're building our own Lambda. This is what it looks like on one line. So I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to override the handle method. It was public void handle. Handle takes the percentage complete. Okay, percentage complete. It also takes the unzip state. And it takes the message. Once I do this, I have no errors, so I can continue. So I can actually define what the handle method is going to do. First, I want to update the progress bar. So the progress bar needs to be updated. It's going to be updated with, so we're going to do set progress with the percentage complete. Okay. We're also going to update the text area. So the status text area, we're going to append text. We're not going to set the text. We want to leave all the messages there. We're going to append the text with the message, and we're going to add a new line, because a new line is not going to be added by default. And then if the state is not equal to running, okay, so we have an enumeration. Enumeration is a good way to keep track of what state the application is. So if it's not equal to running, we have an issue here. So if we're not unzipping, then we're going to set unzip equal to null. What's that going to do? Whenever I set an object equal to null, remember the garbage collector is going to come and destroy this object. So I'm going to set unzip to null, so garbage collection will destroy that object. And then we're going to change the button back. Handle unzipped button, set text back to unzip. Now there's some space here so we can write a message. Here's a little note. If we're not unzipping, if we're not unzipping, that means it's going to be interrupted. It's going to either be interrupted, it's either going to be an exception, or it's going to either be ended. Then set unzip to null and make the text on unzip button to unzip. Remember, when an object is set to null, the garbage collector will come and destroy the object. And in C terms, that's going to deallocate memory. But remember, in Java, we don't have to do that. The garbage collector will handle that for us. So whenever there's a pointer or a reference to a memory location, whenever that reference is removed, which we did here, the garbage collector will come and terminate that memory location. Okay, right before the start, we're going to append some text. So I'll put status area, status text area, append text. We'll put some message here, number of files to unzip. How many files do we have to unzip? I don't know. We can look. We can say unzip, get number of files. That's why I created that method. Get number of files, and make sure you add a new line because it's not going to be added there for you. Okay, and then we're going to start. It's going to unzip all the files. As it's unzipping, we're going to call do notify. Do notify will update the progress bar as well as append a message. And if the state happens to not be running, if for some problem, we're going to terminate, we're going to kill, and we're going to remove that memory location. Now, what's cool about this is our own functional interface. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it down below so you know they're both the same. I'm going to uncomment this, or I'm going to comment this out. And you can actually remove some of this, maybe so it's a little bit smaller, so it doesn't take so much space. This up here is the same as this. And look at this. This is a lambda expression. This is our own lambda expression. Isn't that sweet that we're making our own lambda? Look at this. It takes the parameters to the function, and then everything else is replaced with the arrow because it has exactly one abstract method. This is our own custom lambda. And then I have the method block here. Okay, so this is the same method block as you see here. Okay, this is the same block. So this is the method block. And it knows exactly which method to override because this is a functional interface and it has exactly one abstract method. The question is, does this work? Do we have everything we need? We're going to run this in the next video. So stick with Professor Wergeles and we'll see you in the next video.